How's everybody doing today? Well, we're going to do our second episode of 3D Your Drawings. This one comes in from Reese, I'm not sure if you know this, but how you got your name is a true story too, by the way. When your parents, were in the delivery room and there's the baby, they're like, what do we call this thing? Your dad was just eating Reese's Pieces and he goes, Reese? That's how it happened. Yeah, it's true. All true. Okay, let's get to it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out some form. It's always good to get nice form, just work with the model. And make sure you got some fingers, and I use other objects for like knuckles and placing objects where I can. Now right here, I'm just making the mouth. I'm just extruding in some polys, making it a group. Inflating the back of the mouth. Now this character's not going to talk or anything like that, so I'm not doing a good job blocking out the mouth, but it's enough. I decided to actually stick ears on the character. There wasn't any ears on the actual drawing, but I thought just the lack of ears was a little strange, so I kind of gave it like troll ears, working it in there. And come down through the body. Now he's got a chubby body, so I wanted to give him like kind of like a old school devil look. You got some of the hoofs, and then what I did was for the form, I didn't want a lot of flabby skin, but I did want chubbiness to it, so I just kept everything round, and then just did underlying muscle structures with the round on there. I didn't want to go too detailed. I want to just go straight to claws, so it's like knuckle, claw. And then I wanted the finger claws to be kind of like the same way that the claws on the head were going to be. Coming down, just making some antlers and horns. I used some sheep references to see what the antlers look like. All different kinds of references there. And I start defining the leotard thing that it's wearing. You can kind of see those lines there. Now I'm defining the mouth, the cheekbones. Getting into the brows, a little bit more detail, just laying clay. That's basically all you do in this area. Some of the eye structure. Real important to get, defining shape. I could have went and made cloth for this character and like put clothing onto him, but I figured it would be better because it's kind of like a leotard to keep it all one mesh. I didn't want to, do any sort of cloth simulation or anything like that. It's just too tight of a wrap. So I just wanted to make some definition. Going through and just sculpting away. Making cuts. Defining more muscle, more hand muscle. And getting in some finger details. And some leg details. Again, just working on muscle structure. Scratching away. making the lines. And this is the part where it could just, you could just get lost and it could just take for hours and hours. Because it was half humanish, half goat, I didn't want to do too much on that calf muscle. I thought it might look a little too weird if I went a little too human on there. So I just kept it kind of plain, simple. I think if I did another character like this, I would either pick or choose like more goat or more human, one way or the other. So that would probably be, one change that I would make in the future. Going through now, what I'm doing is I'm separating parts. So when I go from full clay to geometrical clay, now I have different poly groups that I can work on. Here's where I project that low poly mesh onto the high poly. And that gives us some good clay tone. And now I just up the geometry, and then now we start going to town on details. Normally I do work on a different color rather than the red clay, but I found, you know, doing stream and stuff, people can see it a little bit better. So I do tend to do these stream records with red clay. Getting in more detail, just really, and then those little folds, getting in some cracks. Faking some fur. Setting up more detail. And just detail passing until I paint. There's not too much weight on there. I think I would probably add more skin flap to that type of design, but this is a little cartoony, so I wanted to kind of keep it cartoony. Adding the clothing line again, and then just trying to really make it show, you know, you can see that leotard. And here's where I have to split the clothing from the character. So now I could just work on just that poly group right there. So here we're coming with some texturing. Now I didn't go crazy. I just gave it some texture for the skin and for the clothes. Just hints of subtle highlights and deepening areas. And again, we don't want to go too far. Keep it cartoony. We're not here to scare anybody. Some horn details, horn paint. Fingers. Now the fingers, the hooves, and the horns are all the same colors, and they're also the same colors of the clothes because I kind of want to keep it that color contrast. So for the pitchfork, I just made simple geometries, cut it, merged it, dynameshed it, and then started putting like welding detail. So it looks like it was like forged from, you know, scrap metal. I didn't want to make, you know, good hard surfaces on this at all. Little handle grips, just everything just like raw. And so it looks like it's just like raw cast iron. Something you would find in your grandmother's kitchen. So coming in, detailing it up. Add in some eye textures. I didn't want to do too much in the eye texture. Again, keeping it to that cartoony. I didn't want to extrude in and then make another eye and then put a glaze on it. I thought that would be just a little too much for this. So here we come in with posing. And what's hard about this type of posing, I didn't rig this one this time. So the finger posing is, it's a real pain in the butt to do in ZBrush. And I think maybe going forward on the next 3D My Drawing, I'm going to actually do a Z-sphere rig, and that'll just help me out a bunch, and we can keep that rig for the consistency of the period. Here I'm just unwrapping things, making some texture. Now I'm exporting all the models and the mesh out of ZBrush, popping them in Blender. Getting to it, adding some displacement maps, adding the color maps. Then here we go with the cape. So to be lazy with the cape, I was like, I'm just gonna make some geometry and then actually do some cloth dynamics. So I just simulated the cloth. Boom, right there, done. So now we have some cloth dynamics, and then just like kind of fitting the textures up a little bit, making certain things a little bit glossy, add in some background. I didn't go too nuts with this background. Just simple background and then like a procedural lava shader straight through, and then edit kind of light, so the lava had its own lighting scheme to it. Gave it some bloom. Did all this in Eevee, rendered it up, shot it over into Photoshop. And then in Photoshop, just made a background. I attempted to do something with the kind of like a volcano in the background, and I wound up just wiping it. I got rid of the volcano, and I really liked the cloud look, so I went in more with the cloud look. Gave some dodgings, gave some burning, and then there we have it. Okay, Reese's Pieces, I hope you liked it. I had fun working on this one. If you got more drawings, go ahead and send them to the email down below. I'll try and get to as many as I can. If you guys like this content, please like and subscribe, or not. Doesn't bother me. All right, later.